I'm not a particularly good swimmer, and I've never gone scuba diving before, so what better place to do it than off a tropical island halfway around the globe? The tour I booked was designed for newbies, and I would have a one-on-one session with an instructor assigned to me. On the tour, we were scheduled to dive 3 times at 50 minutes per dive and would be supplied the necessary equipment, be served lunch, and have snack time. Seems like a pretty good deal for what I paid. I was picked up early from my hotel and was driven to the pier that the tour company operated from. It was then that I met my instructor, Willana, this little Thai woman around my age, who has been scuba diving for at least 20 years. We then got onto the boat, which was big enough to hold about 30 people in all of the required gear. The ride on the boat was pretty uneventful. It was a cloudy day and it was raining on and off, so I didn't really bother taking many pictures or videos. Willana gave me a quick crash course about how everything works, and I did my best to retain even half of it. I did buy and bring a GoPro with me with the sole intention of capturing some underwater footage. However, since I was a complete scuba diving newbie, it was advised that I skip the GoPro and focus on other little things, like breathing properly, equalizing the pressure in my ears, and learning how to swim with fins on my feet. So, the footage you're about to see is all footage Willana took with her underwater camera. It was not shot with YouTube in mind, so pardon the aspect ratio and the resolution quality. There also isn't as much footage as I would have liked, but hey, it's better than nothing. The first dive off of the boat was wild, as I instinctually wanted to keep my head above water and swim on my back, and the idea of just looking down into the water and not use my arms to swim was just unheard of. Eventually, I was able to settle down and enjoy myself a bit. The water was pretty clear, and seeing all of the corals and tropical fish was like taking a trip to the aquarium, except I was on the other side of the glass. I definitely felt like a newbie, but supposedly I did well on my first dive. Perhaps they say that to everyone though. The drive to the second site made me nauseous courtesy of the choppiness of the water. I ended up taking one of those seasickness pills and having to skip the provided lunch. Ultimately, I had to pass on dive number 2 as I just wasn't feeling well. I ended up napping for an hour instead. A lot of people that booked this tour were seasick at this point, and some were sick even before reaching the first dive site. So it definitely wasn't just me being a wuss. Once the boat started moving to the third and final dive site, I had to run upstairs to the deck level and evacuate the contents of my stomach into one of those fancy red plastic bags I was given specifically for that purpose. This was the first time I've ever been seasick, and I wasn't aware that I was capable of yeeting my insides without alcohol being involved. It's an activity I try to avoid when possible, but it did make me feel a lot better after having done so. I strongly considered skipping on dive number 3, but Wilana convinced me otherwise. On that dive, all of the breathing techniques and managing my equipment went a lot better for me, and Wilana just held my hand for most of the dive. Moving around in scuba gear definitely isn't my forte, and I wasn't exactly feeling my strongest post-seasickness. Time was up before I knew it. It was back on the boat and then back to the pier. All in all, it was great to experience something completely outside my wheelhouse, even with the seasickness. The weather wasn't the best, but since the idea was to be underwater anyway, I guess it didn't really matter. My instructor was awesome and took care of me from beginning to end, even when I wasn't feeling well. And should I end up in a situation where I find myself scuba diving again, at least I'll have a better idea of what I'm doing, and maybe I can capture my own footage. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed. Standard practice too, because same thing as the other hotel, I had to insert my card into a slot in order to activate the lights and whatnot. So very interesting as a constormer. Not used to that.